In this session, we are going to talk about financial accounting. We'll take a look at some of the key components of FI, and then we will discuss some key concepts. And finally, we will look into the system and look at some customizing settings as well as some main transactions. The first key component is FIGL. The central task of GL accounting is to provide a comprehensive picture for external accounting by means of accounts, recording all value-related business transactions, primary postings as well as settlements from internal accounting in a software system that is fully integrated with all the other operational areas of a company ensures that the accounting data is always complete and accurate. Then we have the accounts payable application. The accounts payable application component records and administers accounting data for all vendors. It is also an integral part of the purchasing system, where deliveries and invoices are managed according to vendors. The system automatically makes postings in response to the operative transactions. In the same way, the system supplies the cash management application components with figures from invoices in order to optimize liquidity planning. The asset accounting component is used for managing and supervising fixed assets within the SAP system. In financial accounting, it serves as a subsidiary ledger to the general ledger, providing detailed information on transactions involving fixed assets. Then you have the FIAR component. The accounts receivable application component records and administers accounting data for all customers. It is also an integral part of sales management. And finally, the bank accounting component. This is used to handle accounting transactions that you process with your bank. It includes the management of bank master data, cash balance management, and the creation and processing of incoming and outgoing payments. A quick look at the org units and the org hierarchy within FI. At the top, you have the client. In the hierarchy of SAP ERP applications, and not just FI but across all the applications, a client occupies the highest level. Each client is an independent unit that contains separate master records, a set of tables, and data. In business terms, the client level corresponds to a corporate group or a group of affiliated companies. Data entered at the client level is valid for all org units of the client. In addition, data defined at the client level does not have to be redefined at any other level. Relevant information or data such as exchange rates can be entered at the client level. After that, you have the company code level. A company code represents an independent legal accounting entity, such as a company with independent accounts within a corporate group. Financial statements required by law are created at the company code level. The company code is the minimum structure necessary in the SAP ERP financial solution. Besides the company code, there are other org units that are also important in financial accounting. However, unlike the company code, these org units are optional elements. So you have the business area that represents separate areas of operation within an organization and can be used across company codes. A business area is a balancing entity that can create its own set of financial statements that can be used for internal or external purposes. A profit center evaluates the success of independent areas that are responsible for costs and revenues within a company. You can decide whether you need to create only a profit and loss statement at the profit center level or a financial statement along with it. And finally, you have the segment, which is a division of a company for which you can create financial statements for external reporting. Certain accounting principles, for example US GAAP, require companies to perform segment-wise reporting. You can define segments in your SAP system for this purpose and provide information on the financial results of these business segments. One of the key concepts in SAP ERP system is the variant principle. The use of variants makes it easier to maintain properties that are common among several business objects. So essentially, this is a three-step process used in the SAP system to assign properties to one or more objects. And the three steps are: define the variant, determine values for the variant, and then assign the variants to the objects. This principle is used for things like field status, posting period, and fiscal years. So we will now see how the variant principle is applied to fiscal years. This figure shows a fiscal year that has 12 posting periods and 4 special periods. The posting periods are marked 1 all the way to 12. The special periods are marked 13 to 16. If the posting date falls in the 12th period, you can post the transaction in any one of the special periods ranging from 13 to 16. You must define a fiscal year with the posting periods to assign business transactions to different periods. The fiscal year is defined as a variant and assigned to a company code. The fiscal year variant contains the definitions of posting periods and special periods. Special periods are used for postings that are assigned to the business process of year-end closing and not to the time periods. In total, you can define 16 periods. The system derives the posting period from the posting date. If the posting date falls within the last normal posting period, you can post the transaction in one of the special periods. Standard fiscal year variants are already defined in system and you can use them as templates. You must remember that the fiscal year variant does not specify whether a posting period is open or closed. This data is managed in another table. The fiscal year variant only defines the number of periods and their start and finish dates. So let us go to the system now and try to create a new company code and then create a fiscal variant and assign the variant to this new company code. So we go to customizing, transaction SPRO. So if I just go back, SPRO is the transaction. To go to customizing, and then you go to SAP reference IMG, and I need to now go to the enterprise structure, definition, financial accounting, and I need to define a company code. Now, instead of starting from scratch, what typically you would do is to select a pre-existing company code delivered by SAP and then simply copy it. Now I go to org objects, copy, and the system is running the background program. So I'm going to copy from 1010 to 0091. So this is my new company code. I can give any unique 4-digit number here and simply press enter. So the system asks me whether I want to retain the same currency as in the original company code that I'm copying from, or I want to change it. So I do not wish to change it, keeping things simple. Some data is not copied and I can take a look at what data is that. It's typically the description. For example, the company name is not copied. That has to be different, and that's fine. So we'll go back and maintain that data. This is regarding transporting the number ranges, so we will simply ignore that. And then the system works in the background to actually copy the data. This customizing request is in case I want to transport my new company from the development system onto the test and the production systems. So there I get the message, company code successfully copied. I press enter, go back, and now I can just go and edit my company's data. So my company's number was 0091, and I just change it to test company 91, and I save, and that's my new company created. Now I will try to create a new fiscal year variant. So I need to go to financial accounting, new, global settings, ledgers, and fiscal years and posting periods. So this is where I maintain my fiscal year variant. There is some useful help that tells you some guidelines on how to actually do it if you are fairly new to this. I press the execute button and I get a list of all the fiscal year variants that already exist. Simply go to new entries and I'm going to call my fiscal year variant number 91. Description 12 period calendar for 91 group, and then you have the calendar year yes, number of posting periods 12, and I want to create 4 special periods. So I simply click 4 here, press enter, and then just save. Again, I get this request in case I want to transport this, which in a project scenario you will want it, and my data is saved. So this is the fiscal year variant that I just created. Now I want to assign this to my new company. I go to the next item in the configuration, assign company code to fiscal year variant. Here again I have some instructions, and then I press the execute button. I look for my company, which was 910091 right here, and currently the fiscal year variant is copied on from the original company 1010 that I created my company from. I simply change it to 91 and I save. And so I've created a new company code, a new fiscal year variant, and assigned the variant to the company code. Another important concept in FI is the currency keys and exchange rate types. Each currency key used in the SAP ERP application must have a currency key assigned to it. By default, most of the currencies in the SAP ERP application are defined with standard international currency keys. You can assign a validity date to each currency key defined in the SAP ERP application. Also, you can define different exchange rate types for different purposes, such as valuation, conversion, translation, and planning. You can then maintain the exchange rate for a currency type and a combination of 2 currencies. So if we go back to customizing, we need to go to general settings, which is under SAP NetWeaver, and under general settings you have currencies, and this is where you define your currency codes, exchange rate types, and related parameters. So let us take a look at some of the transactions related to accounts receivables. wherein FI intersects with SD, sales and distribution. So you go to financial accounting, accounts receivable, master records. So let's say a customer has called and asked that his address in the system be changed. So you go to master records and FD02 transaction directly, and you want to search for the customer based on the postcode, and the postcode is 10111. No values for this selection, and in real life that is a very distinct possibility. You might need to try to search by a different parameter, and this is where SAP is very helpful. So you can search for the customer based on a large variety of different criteria. So let me try customer 11 star, and I know my customer is Becker 11. So I've managed to search for this customer, and the correct postcode was 13411. And now we need to change some details for this customer, which we can easily do here. So let's say the customer for AC course 20, and I save. I should get the message that my changes have been made and saved. Now if you recall, customer needs to have some company code relevant data which does not appear here as any of the tabs, and the reason is we need to fill in the company code here. Now if you don't know which company code this customer has been created for, you can just use the drop down and then enter the customer name, and the system says there's only one company code that this customer has been created for, and that is company code 1000. And now I have the company code data here: account management, transactions, insurance, correspondence, etc., which I can change if I wish to and save. So system says no changes were made, so there is nothing to save for now. But this is how I manage my customers: change, create and display. Now in an accounts receivable scenario, one of the most important transactions is FBL5N, and this gives me all the line items against all the customers, and I have different parameters based on which I can choose. Now if I don't have anything here, the system will give me a warning that there may be too many line items and the system would take a long time to return the data. So for this specific selection, system finds no accounts, or if I leave it blank, all items, and then execute, I get a list that looks something like this, which is the line item display under accounts receivable. Now if I select one of these and double click, this is the financial accounting document that has been generated. I can go to environment and go to the original document, which I expect to be an invoice, and this is my invoice. And again I go to environment, display document flow. So what this shows me is that for this customer there was this standard order. I can double click that and display the details of this order. I have only one order here, so I simply select that, display document, try again, select that, display document, and this is my original order that led to the invoicing and the subsequent FI document. But before that, I have this delivery. Again, I can display the document and look at the delivery. So this is my delivery document. And finally, we have the invoice document itself. So if we just go back, this is my invoice document, which finally generated this FI receivables line item. So hope this gives a very quick overview of the